Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're doing another mock draft. We got a minute until draft time. We have a couple strategies we're going to try out this week. If you listened to our episode last week when we did our draft strategy mailbag episode, we had a listener write in, the King Mansplainer, about a strategy that he used where he goes running back, wide receiver, then he picks up his quarterback, then gets the best player available, and then tight end in the fifth. We didn't quite agree with it and think it's a good strategy, but you can't say that unless you try it. So we're going to try it out. I'm going to try that one out from the sixth pick. Jeff, on the other hand, is going to pick fourth, and he's going to go with zero running back because we actually had a lot of questions about picking Antonio Brown or, waiting on running back. So we don't usually do these strategies, but hey, might as well try it out, see if it works. So we got 25 seconds until we start. So before we do get into the draft, make sure you guys go check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet or Instagram, Fantasy Football Prophet. Sign up for our listener leagues. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. Send us an email, fantasyfootballprophet@gmail.com, or Twitter, Instagram. Let us know you did the review. We'll get you into one of the leagues where you can win the championship belt provided by Pro-Am Belts. Go to our Instagram account. You can see pictures of the belt. Draft starting.
And away we go.
Here we go. Todd Gurley went number 1. Le'Veon Bell went number 2. No surprises. Zeke went number 3. And now this is where Jeff is going to go 0 RB. And so that means Antonio Brown is probably the pick here.
Antonio Brown is going to be the pick.
And so with my strategy, based off what the King Mansplainer did, it's running back first. So David Johnson went number 5. So that puts me up looking for a running back. And so it just depends on who do I want to go with. Do I want Saquon Barkley like I say I do ahead of it? Yes, I do. I'm going Saquon. You can go Kamara there. Those are the two options pretty much. Or you can go Fournette. So I want to go with the rookie. And Kamara went next. Then Fournette went. Then Hunt. Then Julio. So with the strategy here, I would go wide receiver next.
I'm already panicking.
Right?
So many running backs off the board.
Devontae Freeman went at the turn. Odell Beckham, DeAndre Hopkins, Dalvin Cook. That puts me up, and I go wide receiver with this. So for me, my best wide receiver on the board is going to be Michael Thomas. So I'm going to go Michael Thomas here as my number one wide receiver. Melvin Gordon went next. Jeff, would have liked him there, but it's going to be wide receiver probably again. Yeah. Devontae Adams, I'm guessing, is the pick here. Yeah. Or Keenan Allen.
I was going to say Keenan Allen or Devontae. I'm going to go...
Or AJ Green. There's some solid players.
Yeah, they're very good. I'm going to go Keenan Allen.
Okay. So you're going to go Keenan Allen. So you got Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen. And now in the third round, you can finally get that running back and see what it looks like.
Actually, I was going to... Should I do a third? I was going to wait until the fourth.
Unless AJ Green's there. No, not with... at this point, Mike Evans.
I'm going to go zero. I'm going to go one more round without...
And see what you can pull off.
Yeah.
If you go really, really hardcore zero running back and you could pick up a lineup like this, and you're pretty set at wide receiver because after he picked Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams went Jerick McKinnon, Jordan Howard, AJ Green, LaShawn McCoy, Christian McCaffrey, Jeff's up. He's probably choosing from like Mike Evans right now, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm going to go...
Or is he looking at Tyreek Hill?
Jameis Winston kind of freaked me out, so I'm going to go Tyreek.
Okay, Tyreek Hill. So he's basically your flex at this point, or he's a wide receiver 3. Depends on what kind of league you run in.
Right.
So there's one more pick before me. Mike Evans did go, so that puts me up. And with the strategy that the King Mansplainer came up with, it's running back, wide receiver, quarterback. So it works out in the fact that you get the best quarterback. So I end up now getting Aaron Rodgers. So it worked out. Aaron Rodgers is where you go in the third if you do that. Then Gronk went, Doug Baldwin, Derrick Henry, Darius Geis at the end of the third.
Uh-oh.
Joe Mixon, Travis Kelce, Jay Ajayi. One more pick before I'm up. T.Y. Hilton went up. So I'm up. And then at this spot, what he normally does is it's kind of a best player available type situation. So a lot of times you would say go running back or you could go wide receiver. Actually, I think what's left, it is going to be like a best player available is probably a wide receiver at this point. And for me, personally, it's Stephon Diggs. It's either Diggs or Thielen there. I'm going Diggs. So I got Diggs as my wide receiver 2. Right? He's awesome. I love Diggs. Then Josh Gordon. Now Jeff's up, and this is where he goes running back. And he got basically the likes of Alex Collins, Rashad Penny, Kenyon Drake, Mark Ingram, who's suspended. But then you got the rookies in Sony Michel, Royce Freeman. And this is how the zero running back strategy works is if a rookie hits. If a rookie hits, you're golden.
That's the weirdest part. I'm almost wondering if I should
go quarterback, go Deshaun Watson.
Actually, yeah, I am.
Because then there's the rookies there, I guess you could say. Crazy. You were just going nuts with it. Deshaun Watson.
Dude, I didn't like it right there, and now I'm just going to
see what happens. You got talent, though.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to... Okay, so Alex Collins went, but I get a pretty much
you only lose
people.
Yeah, you really do. And so you just... instead of getting two of them, though, you only get one of them. So is it Penny? Drake?
I'm going to
Freeman?
going to go Penny.
Okay.
But I'm going to pick up quite a few of these guys going down the stretch.
Maybe Marshawn Lynch in the next
round. It's quite possible.
We were talking about Lamar Miller went after you picked, so it puts me up. And so based off the strategy here, this says I should go tight end here. This is where you go tight end. And the problem with that is three of the top tight ends all were off the board. So that's where the strategy could break down if, you might have to adjust on the fly if you're not picking up like Zach Ertz here, which in the 5th is where you could. So I go like Jimmy Graham or Greg Olsen. I like Greg Olsen. So I'm going to go Greg Olsen as my number one tight end. You can go, it breaks down if you don't get one of the top 3. So after I picked Olsen, it went Alshon, Kenyon Drake, Larry Fitzgerald, Allen Robinson, Jimmy Graham, Russell Wilson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Ronald Jones went. Puts me up, and based off the strategy, I would go running back here to get my second running back at this spot. So, second running back.
Here we go.
There's some interesting players. I don't know what to do. I don't like it. That's why I don't like it. So I have to go, man, I don't want Marshawn as my 2. Mark Ingram suspended. He could be very interesting value here, but I kind of can't go with him as my second.
Sony?
Ooh, I think I'm going with Sony. I don't love it. This is not my normal strategy. Point that out.
All right.
We're trying out some new things here.
So in this case, I am going to take Mark Ingram because my team is weird already.
So if Ingram comes back and is last year's Mark Ingram, you're in a really good spot because you got a player who could be really good. So Marshawn did go.
Yeah, Marshawn went, which I thought I was going to be able to grab him as my 3rd and get very...
between our picks, Drew Brees went. After you picked Ingram, I went Brady, Will Fuller, Marshawn Lynch, Marvin Jones, Kyle Rudolph, Evan Ingram.
And
you're up again.
Loading up, so I'm going to go Royce Freeman on this one.
Okay, see, that's why I say if a rookie hits, you're in a good spot going the running back. You just can't always pick it. Chris Hogan went in the 7th, earlier than I've seen Chris Hogan go. So based off the strategy, I'm going wide receiver this round, I believe. That's back to my wide receiver here to get... I ended up with one extra, I think, going, So there's Jarvis, Golden Tate, Sammy Watkins. There's some options here. It's just like, what way do I actually want? I actually like a lot of these guys, but I don't want to necessarily reach for too many of them. I'm going to go Golden Tate as a 3rd. I haven't picked Golden Tate too many times. I think as a 3rd, he could be a decent option. It was him or Jarvis. They're kind of the same. They're similar to me rank-wise.
Yep. Immediately after.
Then Carson Wentz. Then Sammy, who I like Sammy, but I don't know if I trust him yet. Cam Newton, Michael Crabtree, Carlos Hyde, Delaney Walker, Kirk Cousins. I'm up again. My 8th round pick. And this is actually where the strategy goes off the rails in my mind. This is what he does is actually goes defense. I get it. You get Jacksonville D here. So I'm going to do it. I'm following the strategy. I'm getting Jacksonville D. Because then you get the number 1 D. So I have the number 1 quarterback. I have the number 1 defense right now. If I had picked earlier, you could do this if you have one of the top picks and you get number 1 running back, number 1 quarterback, number 1 defense. You could really change it and go tight end earlier and get a number. I get it. Why it's not it's not the worst looking team in the world. I'll tell you that right now. It's not. If Sony Michel does something.
Right.
And it also depends on where that flex spot, if there's still a running back there, you could probably go running back in the 4th and like it a lot more, than some, but it's interesting.
No, oh my God.
Jordan Reed went after I did. Jeff has 5 seconds. Marlon Mack. It's interesting. So you got.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it, but at the same time,
yeah,
I went
as a 4th. That's pretty solid. Corey Davis went. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff, Tevin Coleman, Aaron Jones. I'm glad because every
running back went after that.
Jeff's up again.
And here's gets really interesting. Just knowing at this point, you're just really grasping for straws. I'm actually going to go No, I'm going to take one more rookie. I'm going to take Kerryon Johnson in this one.
Okay.
I'm just really loading up because there's a lot of wide receivers that are still there. And then tight end, I'm not in love with anyone. I think I can get someone in the next round.
Yeah. So you got 5 running backs now after that. Okay, it's interesting. We're gonna go over this after we're done here and see what we're thinking.
You really need them though, because when you're starting to talk about them,
yeah.
Well, it could turn out wonderful, and it could just be a disaster.
All right, this is my last pick of the strategy. Because after this, it's just whatever, and it says to go to kicker. So I get the number 1 kicker on the board. I get Greg Zuerlein. Okay. So then it goes Emmanuel Sanders, Went, Jordy Nelson, Devin Funches, Julian Edelman, Chris Thompson, Tariq Cohen, Nick Chubb, C.J. Anderson. So I'm up. I only got 2 running backs. I have some receivers. So this is where I'm going to probably look for a running back at this point. And the top one I see on the board for me is Isaiah Crowell.
Yep.
So I'm going to pick Crowell. And if he works out and he's actually a starter, it's a pretty solid, I think it could be a decent pick in the 10th. After I picked Marquise Goodwin went, Jeff puts back on the clock. He has 3 receivers. He has 5 running backs. He has Deshaun Watson at quarterback. So he could look at a tight end. He could look anywhere.
I'm going to go wide receiver. We had talked about in the last one. I'm going to go Allen Hurns here. And I'm going to go for that upside once again. Could be the number 1 with Dak throwing to him.
As a 4th, it's interesting.
Yeah. And I do need a little more depth because obviously he will just be backing up my other 3.
After you picked Hurns, it went Randall Cobb, Devontae Parker, Rams D, Kelvin Benjamin, Minnesota D, Matt Stafford. Jeff's up again. What are the options?
I am just going to
go Burton.
I'm just going to go for broke here. I'm going to go Tyler Eifert. And if it works out, great. If not,
and then
I do not care.
After you picked Eifert, Andrew Luck went, this is why I don't want to pick quarterback early. We did this because it's different. If you can get... Okay, I don't think Andrew Luck, once it comes around draft time, is actually going to go this late. There's no way.
The 11th round, you'd be out of your mind.
There's no way. I like Andrew Luck a lot. If he's healthy, he's going to be great. So it puts me up. I have a bunch of options. I have 3 running backs right now. I have 3 receivers. I could go any which way I possibly wanted to go, but I should go away before my pick runs out. And you know what? I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson.
I literally just highlighted him. I was like, that was a great pick.
We talked about him a little bit. I think he's interesting. He's, there's some upside there. After he went Robert Woods, Pierre Garcon, because those are like the other guys. I'm not a big Robert Woods fan. I just not. LeGarrette Blount went, not a fan. Houston D, Matt Ryan, Pat Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger. Mahomes ahead of Roethlisberger. Never. I'm not doing it. Cooper Kupp puts me up again. I get to just pick kind of best player I think available. And this is where I hate the draft. I don't know what to do at this point. So what I would do is actually I'm going to pick an upside play and go with a Calvin Ridley at wide receiver as my 5th receiver. Just kind of a little bit of an upside play there because I don't love this part in the draft. After I picked Nelson Aguilar is a solid. He went next, and then you're up. He's another one there that could be, slightly undervalued. So puts Jeff up. He pretty much has all his positions filled except defense and kicker, which will be starting in the 14th. So he's basically 2 more rounds to get positions.
Yeah, so I'm going to take kind of a interesting pick in Ty Montgomery. See if it works out.
That is. It could be
right. And now I truly. What do I have? 5. I have 5 running backs now.
I think you got 6. He's your 6th.
Is it 5th?
That's your 6th guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's my 6th guy.
So after he went Philly D, Phillip Rivers, Trey Burton, Jamison Crowder, Deontay Foreman, Jamal Williams. Jeff's
already back to me
again. It's kind of just whatever you want at this point.
Yeah, man. I mean, really could go anyway. At this point, I'm just going to go... I'm going to go kicker. I'm just going to get locked down one because I literally don't need anything.
And then Corey Clement went next. So it puts me up, and I'm going to go with one of my favorite players, value-wise, of the year, Mike Williams. Chargers. I love Mike Williams. But at the value, he's at the price he's going for, he's my 6th receiver. Again, he was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. You can say the same thing about John Ross. I think Williams has more potential than John Ross, but I think it's great.
And that's a great part. There are so many wide receivers down here that do have a lot of value still.
Denver D went Sterling Shepard, DJ Moore, another interesting pick because he's a rookie, we just don't know. Doug Martin, Justin Tucker, Baltimore D, Robbie Gould, Jake Elliott. I'm up. I just need players. I could go a million different ways, and this is where you just try to find somebody that you think maybe you get some... Oh, I don't know what to do. I really don't. So I'm going to go with a Duke Johnson. and find. We just don't know how Cleveland's going to use him yet. It could be interesting. It's back end. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You just get rid of the guy. But especially like if it's up like a PPR setting, Duke Johnson's even better. Kind of sucks that he's like my fourth, but that's the problem with maybe doing a different strategy. Wide receivers are plentiful. Carolina D went next. Jeff's up.
I'm going to go ahead, and we only have 2 rounds left, so I'm going to grab my D round early, just so I don't, because everyone is about to go on that rampage of kickers and defenses. So
you got New
now
Orleans.
I have one person left, and I'm going to go ahead and
Cam Meredith and Marquise Lee.
Marquise Lee was actually who I was going to take for my last pick, but I'm going to go Christian Kirk. A lot to like from the rookie.
Yeah,
and boom, look at that.
And so I'm going to go with a running back with my final pick.
I can't wait to talk over these teams. These are very strange.
And I'm going to make this pick because I'm not sold on Alex Collins. So Kenneth Dixon, welcome to the team. Welcome.
There you go.
Kenneth Dixon, this is like the 3rd year we've talked about you. Devontae Booker, Chicago D, Matt Prater, Kenny Stills rounds it out. All right. So that was the draft. It's interesting because this isn't what we normally would do. So Jeff, what do you think about your team? It's actually...
I mean, it's not the worst.
If a rookie or two, it's kind of interesting. It's interesting. Let's talk. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think the Mark Ingram, the fact that you can get him so late because he is suspended, actually saves me, right? So,
yeah, I think so too.
So what? I have to punt 3 games, and I don't even really have to punt, but I have 3 games without him.
Yeah.
And then I insert a guy who is easily a running back 2. He was a running back 1 last year. And then I have between him, Rashad Penny, Royce Freeman. Those are the 3 I'm thinking will work out. But then I also have Marlon Mack, Kerryon Johnson, and Ty Montgomery to round it out. So I think I have that taken care of pretty good, but I might be missing that top-end running back that's very difficult to come by unless you get him in the first round.
But you end up with probably the best wide receiver group in the league.
Well, yeah, you would.
The only other team that's pretty solid, it's not as good as yours, obviously, but they're solid as the DeAndre Hopkins, Doug Baldwin, Juju Smith-Schuster group. Solid. It's not as good as yours. It's very solid. Good, yeah. So you end up with the best wide receiver group. You end up with what in this draft was the second best quarterback and is for sure a top 5 in most people's minds. Top 3 or 4, most likely Deshaun Watson. So you get that. If one rookie hits, you are probably set. With that kind of roster. Yeah. You really are.
And to be honest, too, because I went this route, I also picked a little more risky. Like Deshaun Watson was injured, a little risky, but I'm taking the upside on him. Tyler Eifert, if he hits, I'm freaking golden at tight end. Even if he doesn't, though, there's enough, kind of around the same one. I know what I'm going to end up with. But because he was hurt all the time, I'm able to get him that late. Mm-hmm. And then once again, I mean, even Allen Hurns and Christian Kirk to help round out, my 4th and 5th wide receiver. Pretty solid. Mm-hmm. I mean, Allen Hurns especially to be the 4th. I definitely can live with that. So you probably have to take one more running back than needed, but it's good because I'll get a few weeks in and then I'll figure out who's not performing and then I can start subbing in and out. So, it's not the worst thing, but again, obviously, running back still worries me.
And that's why with mine, the way the strategy worked, there's times it could work. There's definitely times it can work. It's just to get yourself too rigid into a strategy that you have to do this a certain round, this a certain round. You have to be flexible with your draft, and you have to adjust to what's going on. So if you come, I have to do this, I have to get this. I think that's where the problems lie. So I got Saquon Barkley, my number 1 pick. This changes obviously based on where you pick. If you pick it 3rd. You're obviously going to get a better player to start. But I got Barkley. My running backs are Barkley. Then because of the strategy and the way it kind of sets, you could go the running back in the 4th, but if there's not one there, you get the best player available. And so I did. And so that puts me with Sony Michel as my number 2. Isaiah Crowell is my 3. Duke Johnson, Kenneth Dixon, 4 and 5. I have nothing set there.
Here's why. Saquon, by far, out of all of us. But would you rather have my stable of running backs or yours? I mean, this is a very good question.
I'd rather have your running backs with your receivers, probably. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think I actually like my team better than yours.
Other than Saquon, I like your running backs better. Your overall running backs better than Saquon.
Right. I like Sony Michel, but I also believe that he's a more of a question mark.
Well, and that's where when you pick defense and kicker too early, I missed out on 2 rounds of getting Marlon Mack, Kerryon Johnson, basically.
Yeah.
That's where the problem is. You miss out on players that are still worthwhile.
And also and I think really that strategy it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I first of all, I think tight end because, and this is actually, if you go back, I was saying, I don't have an issue with that, but you have to get Gronk or Kelsey. I was like, if they're both gone, you should definitely not draft tight end right there.
Yep. See, that's where you can't stay rigid in this. You have to move around.
That defense is just way too high.
And like, I would the number one defense. You should, but then again, things change year to year. You can't be too how good somebody was last year because more than likely Jacksonville is going to be great. Not necessarily though for purposes. You know that for sure. It's too hard to predict the NFL year to year. It really is.
I would never take a defense, and this is me being. I personally would never take before the 13th.
Yep.
But I don't think anyone should ever take one before the 12th.
No.
And for that exact reason, if you want to, I think kickers are far more easier to, bank on than a defense.
Well, and with this team, it's good enough. It's definitely good enough to be able to make moves and stay relevant and have a good season because you got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, Michael Thomas, Stephon Diggs, Golden Tate at wide receiver are solid with Robbie Anderson, Calvin Ridley, Mike Williams. There could be some breakouts, but there and Greg Olsen, tight end. It's solid enough. It's definitely solid enough. You can keep on the waiver wire. You find out what running backs are going to hit him up. You have a team. It's a decent start. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I don't like going into a draft with a strategy necessarily unless pick running back. Because let's look at a couple of the teams that went. There's four teams went running back in this draft. Okay, first team that went running back got Todd Gurley, Jordan Howard. And what do you think about that? I love that.
Yeah, and look at their three. Yeah, there are three wide receivers.
So AJ Green, Brandon Cooks, and Marvin Jones. See, that's why
you.
Oh yeah. And Zach Ertz is their tight end.
I mean, yeah, and
see, that's what you. That's
right,
what you do.
So next one.
Yeah, and the other team that went heavy running backs actually did their first three. They got Le'Veon Bell, Jerick McKinnon, LaShawn McCoy. Which LaShawn McCoy, we're maybe down on because the team might not be great, and he's but as a third, can't go wrong. And then they picked up Amari Cooper, who could be great. We don't know, Demaryius Thomas, but I still like the starting point with those three running backs. The other team that did it, David Johnson, Melvin Gordon.
Oh, that is amazing.
Love it. And then Mike Evans, Josh Gordon. So, and they got Drew Brees.
And they also, filled in with Chris Hogan, Marquise Goodrich, which both of us,
it's just, that's solid. And the other team, the last team that went running back, got Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook.
Oh, I love
and then
that
still
one.
went with a tight end early, which is not something we necessarily do, but got Gronk. And then still was able to get T.Y. Hilton and Alshon Jeffrey. And Jarvis as a third. And Kirk Cousins at quarterback.
And Ronald Jones as their third.
So,
wow, I really like that one too.
That's why you go running back, those other positions you can get value throughout.
Was there anyone that went running back, wide receiver? Obviously there's four as well. Do you like any of those teams?
I kind of like the team that went Leonard Fournette, DeAndre Hopkins. You get Leonard Fournette, DeAndre Hopkins. You get Doug Baldwin as a two. J.J. is your second running back. I like J.J. more than most, so that's why. And Kenyon Drake is a three, solid. Juju Smith-Schuster is your third receiver, solid. Carson Wentz is your quarterback. That's solid. Delaney Walker is a solid tight end. You get Jordy Nelson as a fourth. Could be something there. Pierre Garçon as a fifth. You got Ben Roethlisberger to back up Wentz in case Wentz isn't ready to go. So I like that team. That's another solid one. And the other one I don't like the other team that went wide receiver, running back went Julio, Devontae, Freeman, which it's okay. It's decent. Darius Geis if he and Joe Mixon as a third. There's some definitely could be a solid team. There's some decent teams in here, but I think running back's the way to go. Even though your team could work if a rookie hits.
It could, but it's going to be, and it does give me a lot of pieces to trade, which is nice, but I don't know. I would feel I wouldn't feel optimistic going into it. I would be worried. I'd be kind of eyeing up everyone and trying to figure out who I could trade with right away. It might work, but the Mark Ingram is the one thing that did save me. So if he ended up going before I could pick again, I thought maybe you were going to pick him instead of Sony Michel, and I was like,
I thought about it, but
it would have hurt me bad.
No, but all right, that's good. Do it for the mock draft. It's interesting to do some different strategies and see how they turned out. And after doing it, I like what we do. I like for the most part going running back. I think it's still the way to go. I really do. So nothing is changing me off of that spot right now. And I know some people are going to say that there's some reason there's zero running back people out there. I just don't see it. Because I can't predict the rookies. I can't predict them. And you got to hit on them. So
and look at all of the wide receivers that could easily be a wide receiver too that you can make up. Once again, I hate to, but Juju Smith-Schuster in the 6th round, Marvin Jones in the 7th, Where is it? Alan Hearns in the 10th. It's a possibility. That's kind of a stretch, but still. Robbie Anderson in the 11th.
Yep.
I mean, they're all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just so. That's why we say it is. You have to get a running back, especially in one of your first two.
Yep.
But I mean, you could always risk it. But if you're not the only person doing that, running back is going to be nearly impossible to come by late.
Yep. All right, that's good. We'll do more mock drafts as we go because I mean there's so many strategies. I like to try out the different strategies and just see if maybe wrong. I just think running backs. If you get running backs, you win the rest. It's not always gonna hit. Injuries are going to happen, but I think it gives you the best chance to start.
No, I really want to know. I have a strategy for next time. I want to try. I'm going to go 0 wide receiver, but extreme, like just real extreme. Like I'm not going to grab. I'm not going to grab a wide receiver until like round 7.
Let's try it.
Yeah, I actually think that could still work out okay.
We'll try that in next week or two for sure. All right, but next week we're going to do breakout players. That's actually was like our most popular episode early in the year. Everyone always wants to know the breakouts, and our list might have changed since the last time. So there are some guys we definitely think are going to break out, and maybe can you consider Stephon Diggs a breakout? No, probably not.
I mean, depending. If he's going to be a top 10 guy, maybe.
But we will also be doing players we love list.
Oh, here we go.
Breakout players and players we love are going to be our 2 episodes next week.
I have a feeling Diggs will be on that for sure then.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan. But Diggs will show up, I'm sure, on some lists. So that'll be what we're going to do next week. Breakout players we love as we start. I mean, we're getting close here. We are only 3 weeks away. 3 weeks from starting our rankings episodes. And that's what gets us into the season is our rankings episodes. So we can lay it out here. Breakout players we love next week. Then the week after, we're going to do some deep sleepers, I believe. Go on the sleeper list, start, players way down the list and start talking about some names that we never bring up. They'll be like players. Last year we did it. You have to be 60th or worse at running back or wide receiver before we talk about you. We'll bring it up. We'll brag a little bit. We did hit some last year. Mm-hmm. So it could happen again. In tight ends, we'll go like 30 deep. Quarterbacks, there's nobody. You're not going to do quarterbacks. It's just, no. There's nothing there.
No reason to.
No. But we'll talk about those. And then we do deep sleepers. We'll also do like a trending up, trending down episode. Players that are moving on up, it looks like, and guys that are kind of just falling off on. And then we're going ranks. It's going to be ranks. And actually, I think we'll mix in at some point. There's maybe we get the ranks. Fantasy football myths episode because there's a lot of stuff on my mind. If we recorded the before episode, you'd hear all my rants about things I think are wrong in fantasy football and why people need to stop thinking that way. And that'll be coming up as we go quarterbacks, running back. Oh, man, it's getting close, Jeff. I mean, shoot, drafts are starting in less than a month, probably. Oh, can't believe it's that close. I'm ready, I think. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I wish it was now because I know everyone else would be
We're
much
ahead right
less
now,
prepared.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're listening to us now, you're ahead. So keep listening to us. Check us out on Twitter, FF Prophet, or Instagram, Fantasy Football Prophet. We'll talk to you guys next week.